Hi everyone, it's Lavender Sky Panther. It is Wednesday, March 1st, 2023, and today is show number 177 called Sky Mysteries. It's mainly going to be a collection of images and sky observations happening in the tail end of October and November 2022. If you've watched any of my shows, you may have noticed I've been doing exclusively YouTube shorts for quite a while now. That has to do with some radical schedule changes I've been having, but I hope to level out and get back to the longer show formats as well to keep things mixing it up a little bit. And also because I have a ton of photos still happening in December and January and February to catch up on. I'd like to anyway. In the meantime, though, I hope you're enjoying my YouTube Shorts format where I can at least highlight and flag the most significant things that I find on a given day. Anyway, let's jump into this. Now, you may also notice this is a very distinct cover image this time around. I'm very excited about this one, and I hope SugarSeas out there, you don't mind, but this is a shout out to SugarSeas' YouTube channel, where she has a lot of fascinating, and I put down here, mind-expanding concepts and discoveries going on over at her channel. So I invite you to go check it out. I am so captivated with one of her shows that was done in the last 3 weeks called Fairies Are Real, and you must go take a look at that footage. I'm sending you over there. I don't really want to say much more about it other than what I'm going to show here. But anyway, the detail of this is of a fairy, and it's a still captured from some of her footage that she notes where she got the original. And this fairy was happening outside of a cave in Greece. So I just took a still of some of her footage, and then I zoomed in and did some enhancements to really get at this fairy. So as you can see, hopefully you can see it, we've got a head with a neck on the back, and this is the back of this fairy being, and there's an arm, and you're going to see the whole thing in a second. So this is looking at the profile where this would be the forehead, where the eye is, the nose, the lips, the chin, and we'd be catching a side view of the ear. And there's even like a little headdress or maybe like a little leaf type thing, natural kind of adornment on the top of the head. This would be like a little ponytail sticking out straight out the back. And there's even antenna-like things, or maybe it's just, again, ornamentation from the flora in the surrounding area. So anyway, this gets real interesting. Let's get into it. And before we do, we're just going to see some alternate cover slides I had before I knew I was going to go in the direction of highlighting that fairy being. And we're going to get into looking at some of these coming up. They each are, very distinct and have very notable features about them. Now, if you are new to my channel, well, whether you're new or returning, thank you so much for being here. If you are new, I invite you to look at some of my previous shows to get the gist of what I'm doing here, why I'm doing it. And that's really all I'm going to say. I'm just going to kind of assume that you're going to catch on with the flow as I move through here. And again, if there's any sticking points, feel free to go back and see any of my various earlier shows to catch up. All right, now I am going to start off with this wow factor of the day. It's kind of a new segment based on this fairy stuff. Normally I have words, wisdom, and spirit of the day pages. But this one, we're opening up with the wow factor. So the lower left-hand corner is, here's the little SugarSeas icon over here in the corner, and this is footage is still coming from her channel, and she also has some enhancements in there. So this is an excerpt from one of them in the upper left, and then I've taken it and just made it a little more crisp here and tried to get at a little more detail. So when you see the lower left hand corner, that is this fairy, and again, go see the footage of this thing flying around. It's incredible. It's definitely a humanoid. It's definitely a little spirit being here, an elemental being, because here, if you follow my cursor in the upper left-hand corner, we have a head, we have an arm hanging down here, and maybe another little arm bent or moving in a different way. And then we have a waist and legs and feet hanging down here, and then the wings outspread. So this is not a case of any kind of insectoid whatsoever. It's a humanoid. Now we look to the right, and we get a little more clarity here. Again, you see a forehead and the eyes and some cheeks and a face on this little fairy being. So we're going to keep going. Now, in another view, as it's flying around, this still captures it like this. So over on the left-hand side, you see it. So again, on the right, I've put some enhancement on it. Now we see the head, kind of like the hair or whatever, a headdress, and that's the face looking downward. This again, we're looking at the back torso. Now we see the buttocks and the side leg as it goes down to the feet. And these are definite feet. It's a definite humanoid. Now we go to the right, and all I've done is zoom in on the face, and that's where we get, this face with like little hair going back, and again, the being is looking downward, and that's the forehead, if you follow my cursor, and the nose and the chin down here. And this could even be hair, I'm not sure. But anyway, we're looking at the back as this figure's kind of turning and flying about, and this would be an arm moving down to the hand and the back, shoulder blades, moving down to the waist, and the buttocks down here. So let's keep looking, and what I've done is now I have turned the image around so we can see it more in a natural pose, where it's easier to follow. So again, this is from the cover. We've got the forehead and the nose, the lips and the chin, and maybe the side of some hair, and or just in shadow here with the neck and the back, little ponytail or something sticking out here, and again, shoulder, arm, hand, and or perhaps actually, if you follow my cursor, I think the hand could even be down here. But whatever the case, when we look at the full figure to the right hand side, we definitely see a figure. It looks feminine, looking off to the side, and then we've got the arm, and then the body, and again, like that would be the buttocks, the thigh, and the knee, going down to the calf and the feet, and we've got two of them. So this is pretty remarkable. Again, go check out her channel. This is happening outside of a cave in Greece. And here we go. This is from the cover, so I'm not going to go over this again. Although we start to see more little detail of interesting little things around her. And now we're going to go zoom in again. So this is just the face. And I know I keep belaboring the point, but just for people who might not see it, follow my cursor. So up here looks like kind of like an ornamental headdress. Maybe even these little things coming down are part of it. Again, coming from the flora and the surrounding area. Or they could be little antennae, hard to say. Also, it's like a little ornamental cap of some type, I'm guessing. This might be hair surrounding her with a little like bun in the back. And again, we have the forehead. This would be the eye profile, the nose, the lip, and the chin. So I hope you see what I'm seeing, and we're going to keep going. Now I did zoom in a little bit more, use some more filters to get at these things. Look at these. These are hanging down off of this. Actually, we see it really well here. This is a very rigid, symmetrical ornament that I'm just going to say is on her little cap or headdress. And then we have these things coming out of it. So I think they're ornamental pieces, like ornamental feathers or something. This is really fascinating on this detail. And again, look at, we've got a nose, and we've got like the lips and the chin over here. So again, this is just so extraordinary. I have to feature it. I don't even care about my sky stuff. I'm so fascinated with this thing. And now I've just done one more filter on this. When I say filter, I've just upped and lowered the levels of contrast, brightness, and color saturation manually. And so again, we see a very rigid element here that would be like at the forehead of a headdress, like a headband coming across, or a little crown, and these things kind of hanging off of it. Now I like this version because this would be like the ear on the side, because even though it starts to get bitmappy, it also kind of shows how energetic this being is, like energy form, because now we start to see these little things that remind me of little sparkles and of energy. All right, well, I hope you've enjoyed that. That's the wow factor of the day. Now I'm going to kind of race through this. This is more for my benefit, just to put all of the kind of thumbnails, if you will, of the YouTube shorts in one place, just to kind of document it and have it. So this is going to be starting with number 92 on through the current, where I'm at with 177. And so I'm not going to belabor any of this. This is just showing you how many shorts and what the shorts are. I invite you to go check them out. They're all very different. They either cover sky phenomenon or nature, as you can see. And I try to include all different kinds of genres to keep things interesting of music. So I hope you enjoy them. And I've just kind of circled something. Obviously, everybody, it seems, are getting, really censored, especially if you're trying to tell any kind of truth or direct observations out there these days. And it's pretty remarkable because, of course, like some of these videos were escalating above 1,000 views, And this one even had over 50 likes at one time, and then suddenly everything starts declining and even the views start dropping steadily, and that's just because of YouTube, censorship and manipulation. Other times, there's maybe only 63 views, and then they'll take that down even to 30 or so. My point is, it is what it is. I just want to let you know that I'm grateful for each and every one of you here, whether it's 1 or 1,000 or whatever the number is. It doesn't really matter. What matters is if you're here. So I'm going to keep moving along, and just to wrap it up and sum it up of where I'm at with these YouTube shorts. As you can see, I've got quite a few of them. It's a nice flexible format because I'm not able to make the longer shows as much anymore, but I do hope to get back into that, as I mentioned earlier. Okay, so now we're going to get into the heart of the show as far as the sky observations portion of this show. And I am actually recording this so late, and I'm really only doing it because I'm not sure if my laptop is going to continue working tomorrow. So pardon me if I'm tired. That's why. If I sound that way, hopefully you can still follow along. I'm also not going to call things out in as much detail as I normally do, just given the lateness of the hour. And but again, I trust that you'll be able to look at some previous shows, get the gist of what I'm doing, and start to pull some things out and spot things on your own as well as I go through these things. So just one more thing I will say, if you are new, I have and listed on each photo, I put either original photo or enhanced photo. When I say enhanced, all I've done is tweaked levels of the attributes of the photo, such as color, saturation, brightness, and contrast, and that's it. Just to better highlight things in each photo that I already intuitively feel are there in the sky, or I can see it by direct observation. And yes, I'm going to be talking a lot about cloaking craft. So if you just go there with me on that, I'm going to say all of the things I kind of call out are predominantly going to be cloaking craft, and I'll tell you why. All right, so here we go. We've got A, B, and C are just elements I'm flagging. And as we can see, we've got different color ranges, showing that they're different objects of different types, even though they're all right in the line, from each other. That tells me it's an indicator that there's some kind of intelligent design going on. And in this case, I'm going to go back one. I flagged this because that's not a natural looking cloud at all. It's also incredibly low in the sky. And that tells me it's artificial and that cloaking craft is involved, or cloaking objects. When I say craft, it could be, yes, like a vehicle that somebody pilots, or it could also be objects like used for instrumentation or data gathering, who knows, surveillance, whatever, but not in a creepy way, just an observational way. Anyway, here we go. So, and I say not in a creepy way because I don't get a creepy vibe from any of these things. And that's everything also. If you notice cloaking craft or things in the sky, what do you feel? Does it feel okay? Do you have a euphoria and are really happy when you see it? Or are you like, oh my goodness, I need to get inside quick? Or is it just neutral? It's important to feel it out. Anyway, here we go. So B and C, I think those are individual objects because they each have their own shape, kind of repeats, and their own color signature, and that A is also a separate one. So I think these little things are moving along in tandem, and they're trying to disguise and one longer thing. But if you've been on this planet for any amount of time, like I said in an earlier show, if you're over the age of 20 especially, 20 and over, you should know that this is not like a typical organic natural cloud that we know from the past. This is different, it's artificial, and I'm going to say it's, camouflage cover for cloaking craft. There's going to be a lot going on in these photos I'm not even going to get to touch on, but just pay particular attention, whether I talk about it or not, of different color changes, color signatures. That's all very significant when I cover these things. All right, let's move on. So now the original's on the left, the enhanced version's on the right, and when I have flagged A, B, and C here. So what caught my particular attention, again, is how incredibly low these cloud systems seem to be these days, and that tells me that something artificial is going on in most cases. Now in A, I noticed a color change with the naked eye. It was looking more white, so sure enough, and I just sensed something was going on in there. So we look to the right and look at this thing. It's kind of like a diamond or kite shape with a little pipe at the end of it at 8.1. And we look at, again, the different color signatures. So I'm going to just move along because I'm going to zoom in on this A feature. It's very intriguing looking, and we have an actual pipe here. It's a cylinder with a hole at the end and a perfect, diamond or kind of kite-like shape. And then something strange is happening here too at B point 2, and of course over here at C point 2. A lot of weird things going on all over the place. Now when we look at B point 3, it also looks like maybe there's a rod or a cylinder happening here as well. It tells me there's a cloaking object over here, and I don't know if this thing is, you can see a vapor trail, like a trajectory coming off of this thing. So I don't know if this thing is getting launched, if it's a craft or it's like a weaponry that's getting shot off of here. No idea. See what you think is happening in this scene. Okay, this one I'm going to go through pretty quick. It just looked odd. That's not a natural cloud formation. It's really low. And on the surrounding sky, there are a lot of weird wisp-like things. Everything had a totally different character. And I'm flagging A because it actually looks like an imprint of a heart. And so with enhancement, we see, actually, this is really pretty wild. If you go here with me, it's probably pareidolia, but, where you just kind of see things and faces and things, but it's not really that. Or who knows, maybe it is. But look at this. This looks like a man who's bald. If you follow me, these are the eyes and the nose, the cheeks, and maybe he has kind of like a beard. Looks like he's laying down on his back, and that's like his foot pointing forward, and he's wearing some kind of, I don't know, shaggy or furry outfit. But anyway, it's kind of interesting when I just look at it like that, and this would be his right arm extending out. But anyway, if you don't look at it that way, what caught my attention still was this imprint here, but clearly that's not natural clouds. There's no way you can just say that's cumulus or cirrus or stratus. There's just no known cloud, especially if you've been on this planet for a while, that you could point to it and say that that's what it is. So it's just odd. And as always, I might have more questions than answers on some of these things. And I always invite you to comment in the comment section below if you have any just fun, fantastical ideas. If you see something as cloud play, or it can be more scientific and analytical based, whatever. This is an open and creative channel. And I appreciate any good intention comments in the comment section below. All right, so now this is just a view looking north, and obviously we have either chemical-filled trails, which I'm going to say are toxic, or it could be camouflage trails. I'm now open to the idea that there might be some trails that are strictly done for disguising other craft that are up in the sky to kind of take away from them, hide them, veil them, or be a red herring so we don't see other things going on. We just look at the line in the sky. So I'm toying with that idea now. I believe that some definitely are toxic, but there might be some that are strictly kind of smoke, so to speak, or plasma just to hide things. See what you think about that. But anyway, let's move along here. So with enhancement, we really see these trails. They're far too low in the sky for anyone that wants to try to make the case for a contrail or condensation trail. You can just stop right there, because these things, not only are the patterns crazy and this lingers in the sky way too long and spreads and you can see it, they're also insanely low, and no plane that would be the caliber to make that trail would deliberately fly this low and also angled down toward the ground like this. So I think we can close any discussion on that. I am open-minded, however, facts are facts with these things, just through direct observation as well. But anyway, we've got a lot of weird little elements. I'll leave these to you to ponder, like especially with C.1. That's a symmetrical little object seemingly popping out of this artificial cloud here. So I'm going to move along. Here's an interesting one also, just really weird form. And this is happening really low in altitude in the sky. And none of these look like natural clouds. They all look very artificially produced. And that makes sense when you see some of my zoom-ins and analysis on this stuff. I see a lot of pipes, a lot of parts and pieces that are cloaked in the sky, and a typical one are cylinders, whether they're long or fat and squat. There's just a lot of pipe ends going on, and that can explain all of this manufacturing of this artificial cloud material. I'm sure it's being produced any number of ways, but when you see an actual pipe, you can imagine something's puffing up out of it to make this artificial cloud material. Anyway, I'm going to keep moving. This one gets interesting because at A we have straight lines that are forming, the peak of a triangular form, while we have other things like this B is kind of bent and doing something vertical. Looks like there's a triangular form there. So again, we're not dealing with natural clouds, because in decades past we would just have a predictable pattern of cloud cover moving across one way or the other. And now we have a mixture of things that are doing impossible things physics-wise. So you can't have something crisscrossing with straight lines while you have stuff that's supposedly puffy, and this one's moving vertical, and still kind of have a cloud system that makes any kind of sense if it's a natural cloud system. So we're going to keep moving. Here's another example. What the heck is this thing? You know, at sea. Look at this formation. It's seemingly just erupting almost at the horizon and moving up in a weird way. That's no cloud form that anybody knows growing up here on this planet. Then we've got, you know, these wisp-like elements too. I covered that in other shows, what I think is happening with these kind of air elementals. Wisps, sylphs, there's many names for some of these things. And I have some very specific theories on that in some of my early shows. Anyway, we're going to keep moving. This, I did kind of an extreme enhancement just to exaggerate the movement. So there's no way in a natural cloud system for this to come up like this, be like long and skinny and curve upward, while this is coming seemingly more horizontal across. Again, just natural movement of cloud systems doesn't do that. Then if we look at these green elements, it looks like this is almost connected or tethered somehow in some strange way to this thing. Anyway, see what you find in here. Now we're going to look here on the left is the original, the right's the enhanced version. And just again, we just see a weird element, almost like a cross-like element, doing its own thing, moving in one direction, while this is moving on an angle in another direction. And again, you just don't have two like opposing directions to be a natural cloud system. Now this gets really interesting. This is a really bizarre cloud formation. Left is the original, right's the enhanced version. So not only do we see this weird kind of protrusion here, and it's kind of taking a sharp turn downward, and then another one over here. Just none of this makes sense. We've got this glare out happening beyond, and we're going to see more interesting things when we zoom in on that little shelf-like angled thing. Look at, now we have what is seemingly a chemtrail or chemical field trail or camouflage trail. It seems to be a little bit more than that though, because it's almost like maybe that's a camouflaging craft piggybacking on this thing. It's like some kind of highway, interdimensional highway. We also see other things back in here that could be craft, kind of zooming in and out of this like pipeline. I want to say it's almost like maybe it's like a launch port for craft to come in and out of this longer like tube-like thing, because we see little things going up on angle. Again, they look like craft to me. Now what's going to get really weird is what emerges out of this section. So we start to see something that's black beyond, and something kind of little hard to tell what it is, a little fuzzy here. But we're going to get more detail on this coming up. So I just plastered these, question marks over here. But this area is going to start to get real interesting, and I don't even have any idea what it is. By all means, chime in the comment section if you see what it is or have thoughts on it. But anyway, D.3 again. This is really clearly defined. This is a cylindrical element. I'm going to call it a craft. We've got shadow to it. It's longer. The shadow's running all along this thing, and the size and mass of it, definitely its behavior is that of a craft. Another one diving down here. Anyway, we're going to move along. Now, we see that with this system, it starts to change. Now, this is very mist-like. It has the particulate all in here has a weird density that's not like normal cloud. So again, this is artificial. It's camouflaging craft, or bigger mother craft, if you will, going on back in here. And look at the weird texture happening down here. This is insanely low in the sky as well. So what the heck is going on here? Okay, that's what I wanted to flag. This starts to get defined, but yet I don't know what it is. I don't think it's black goo or kind of nano, or what do you call it, like graphene. I don't think so. I'm not sure if it's a living organism or what the heck this thing is, but it's nothing that we've seen before in the past in cloud systems. So with enhancement, you really see it. What the heck is going on here? And then again, we have this thing that I think could be like a craft, a pipeline kind of cloaking craft, and they can come and go out of this thing, like some kind of crazy, air hangar, aircraft, or space, in this case, what I want to say, otherworldly craft hangar, traveling hangar. But then there's one coming down here as well. And if you follow my cursor, that's coming perpendicular to this thing. So that's not natural clouds. And then we've got another little object kind of peeling off out of this thing as well. So what the heck? we zoom in. This is banging off this some kind of object. What is this black stuff? And then this looks like an engineered element as well. So I'm going to just say, okay, it's cloak and craft. I don't know what this thing is. Is it some kind of massive organic like parasite that comes in and out of this thing? I don't know. Let me know in the comment section below if you have any thoughts on that. Here we are, zooming in one more time. What the heck is this thing? Or things? Oh my goodness. It's crazy. Speaking of crazy, I've got a panorama looking off to, let's see where we are. This is kind of more toward the western portion of the sky, but what I was noticing is this big, well here, sorry, the lower photo is the original. Just look at this. There's like this huge like hump-like thing, and then this thing. You know, what the heck's A and B? That's not a normal cloud, and or any kind of cloud formation. And this whole thing felt completely artificial, this dense particulate. When we look up at the enhanced version, look at this thing. It almost looks like a dragon head or a dinosaur head with a huge back. You know, almost also looks aquatic. Like, what is it, the plesiosaurs or plesiosaur? Yeah, I think it's called the plesiosaurs. The one's kind of like the Loch Ness monster derivative of that some people equate that to. Anyway, it kind of reminds me of that. Feels like that. Like this could even be maybe a paddle, you know, like a flipper, you know, or whatever off to the side. Anyway, see what you think is going on here. Whatever the case, it's just bizarre. We're going to move along. This is looking, actually it's northwest, not northeast. But look at this. This is really low in the sky. And then it even has, you know, kind of almost parallel lines to it. So we can see it better on the right-hand side in the enhanced version. What the heck is C.1? Same thing with B.1. And A.1 looks like there's some engineered design of a cloaking craft that's just starting to appear. Again, we have kind of like a tube-like cylinder type element here at A.1. But just look at this collection. In no case is A, B, or C. They're not even the same type of animal, if you will, as far as quote-unquote cloud structure. So they're artificial. I'm just going to say it. Now we're going to look at this scene. I just wrote down here triangular imprint or portal, because if you look here, we have a perfect, you know, peak or point that's triangular. And if you follow my cursor, there's a straight line that comes down here and that starts to do something else. So did this thing where I kind of see, like, I'm going to call A and B kind of like a vapor trail cascading out of here. Did this thing at C, is that a craft that just kind of came out of this triangular portal thing? Or that's just kind of a coincidence and it's kind of coming from behind this thing? There's also a perfect ring right here. I don't know if you can see it where my cursor is. It's a perfect circle. And this thing's kind of moving in front of it, which again is no relationship. None of this has the character of being a natural cloud of decades past here. And then here it is with enhancement, just to kind of see the different elements very clearly. And then we're going to move along to a different scene here. This is looking off to the north. I zoomed in from quite a distance. So this at A is nothing on my lens. And it's too big to be a bug or bird, you know, to pick up from the distance that I zoomed in. I'm also going to put some enhancement on it. The reason why I know that's not a bug or bird, again, because the size is too big, and we're going to look at the shape in a minute on a zoom in. But also we see this mysterious stuff here, and look at, these are perfect circles with a dome on the top. So I think we're just seeing part of a craft poking up out of this heavy particulate, which is artificially created to mask and veil a whole host of cloaking craft hiding in here. I'm going to zoom in. So here's that element at 8.2. We're going to go in even tighter on it. And again, there are no wings. It's not a bird. It's got more of an intelligence to it. We're going to see in a second. And again, when you pair it with what's lurking beyond here or emerging from this veily mist, you know, with these circular elements, I don't know, this could be organic. The more I look at it now, it looks like it kind of has wrinkles and grooves to it, or it could be a engineered craft that's made to look organic. See what you see in here. Now we're going to zoom in on this 8.3 element. It kind of looks like torpedo shaped. There's two facets here that are symmetrical, and that's why I'm saying this is a symmetrical object of engineered design. I think it's being propelled by this, maybe. It looks like it has a little force field around it, or that's just kind of the plasma wafting. I like to say not wafting, I like wafting around it. But see what you see. All right, we're going to look at this scene. Now what caught my attention was, this is looking north. This overall shape just seemed to be like a bigger craft to me. And we have a not quite vertical, but something on an angle here and goes to an angle here with sharp lines. So that tells me we've got some geometry involved here. Also it's like going on a sharp angle. And once again, we're not going to have a cloud that goes horizontal and then have one going straight up on angle right in the same proximity, and to be able to call that natural. So here we go with enhancement. It's even more obvious. To me, this looks like the back end of a craft, a big ship. I also say that because we have parallel lines here that look like they're engineered elements, these stick-like elements. Actually, these two are parallel too. Almost looks like a tuning fork. If you follow my cursor, looks like that would be the stick, and that breaks off to the Y shape. So it's too engineered and thought out to be, too perfect and parallel with these stick-like elements to be just natural clouds. 8.1 also takes on a triangular form. And anytime we've got geometry like that, you can bet that is, it's engineered elements in the sky. I'm going to zoom in on that tuning fork element. So if you follow me, that's kind of like the prong. And then this becomes a stick-like element coming up towards C.2, where we have the darker matter, like a mass. That's what would be the object. And where it gets fuzzy around it, that's a cloaking material kind of hugging it. And that's what I say, kind of wafting around it. All right, we're going to move on. There was just a whole lot of weird stuff going around in the same proximity. Excuse me 1 minute. So in this case, I see a straight line if you follow my cursor, and it's almost like a rhombus, and another straight edge here and here too, with kind of little weird puff artificial clouds coming around it to kind of camouflage it. At B and C, we get some triangular shapes. And look at this with the enhancement, we get like a different otherworldly dimensions to this thing. 8.1, we got another one of those really flat. It's like if you took a piece of basmati rice and just flattened it out. But again, that looks too perfect. That's not an accidental cloud fragment. And how could that be anyway? Because here we've got it perfectly horizontal, while this is at a perfect angle. And so we've got cloak and craft happening, or objects happening all over this thing. I invite you to look at it more and kind of do a little, see what you can find, how many things you can find in that image on your own time. I'm zooming in a little bit more to show that 8.2 element, and B and C show the kind of triangular nature of these things. This is behaving strangely too. Looks like symmetrical elements in here forming kind of a oblong ring or void. Maybe things can like fly into there. I don't know. See what you see? All right, this one gets interesting, and what caught my attention was kind of things happening at B and also at A. I could make out with the naked eye a triangular form, and sure enough, we go to the right, voila, we see a kind of a triangular shape here. Something different happening at B.1. We got different coloration going on, color signatures happening in here, so that tells me there's probably cloak and craft happening in there. Also down here, because we have a triangular shape, other little weird things happening. Excuse me 1 second. Okay, I'm back. So here we zoom in on that weird coloration, and here we have, kind of a straight line going down here. We have a straight line bent back, coming back this way with shadow to it and little highlighted parts. So I'm not sure exactly what this thing is, but I'm venturing a guess that this is a cloak and craft or multiples sitting in here. See what you think, and also something cloaking back in here as well. Now this one, A, caught my attention right away because we have a perfect triangular form, kind of like a dart or arrow shape, sitting on top of what is not a triangular form. And this cloud too is very low in the atmosphere in altitude, and it's just kind of going vertical. And while this is coming in more in a horizontal bent on it, and then we have other elements, just nothing matches up in the scene whatsoever. And you can see why as I move in on the detail. We're starting to see engineered elements here. We're going to start to see little round pieces, things that are too perfect to be just a little cloud sitting there. Also, for the reasons I mentioned, it has a different density to it, and it looks nothing like this. I've covered in previous shows too how I've been noticing A lot of cloaking craft like to sit perched on the top of some of these clouds, and they kind of use that as like a little landing pad and come and go from there. And especially when the clouds are much higher in altitude, it's hard to see them at the top. But if you look long enough, and as I always say, I invite you to go out if you're not doing it already, and really just look at the sky. Take a good 360-degree to look around you for 5 minutes even. That's all you need to do, maybe even a couple times a day, and start noticing patterns. Start really looking and feeling things out to see what you might see, just as I'm pointing out here now. This is happening all over the world. No matter where you go and stand and look up, you can find this. There's no magic no magic thing about it, as far as that you have to be a special kind of magical person. You just have to be a person with an open mind who can start to look at patterns. Look at, if you see rigid geometry in the sky and straight lines, then you'll start to catch on to some of these things if you're not already. Now to the left-hand side, I also see white reflective points with shadow below, straight lines, weird things, weird behavior. This thing's even kind of arcing over. So it's telling me right away, we've got cloaking craft. Even down here, we got another pipe-like form with kind of plasma or cloaking material trying to hide whatever the heck this thing is. We have this actually looks like, if you're familiar with the Lego people, this looks like a Lego hand, like the arm and hand of a little Lego figure. So that tells me it's perfect symmetry. So we're dealing with technology, whether this is a craft or it's parts of a craft, that has arms and like kind of technological graspers on the end of it. Who knows? I mean, there's a better word for it. It's super late. Forgive me. Pardon me. But you know what I'm getting at. Anytime we're going to have symmetry, and perfect things like that, it's technology. So it's either the craft itself or appendages on the craft, let's just say tools. So let's look at this a little bit further. We're zooming in on A2. This is why I say, look at this. Of course, it's some kind of craft or technology. Have a feeling it's also connected, because we get a blur out right here, fuzz out with the plasma. Plasma is just my go-to word for cloaking material. And it looks like this whole piece is maybe tethered or connected to another piece beyond. But look we've got these little white points. We've got what looks like a hole or the end of a tube. And this is rigid. This is a structure. No doubt about that. Here we go. Just looking at another view, zooming in, changing the color a bit. We got a hole there. It looks like a bent pipe, kind of like a macaroni or elbow noodle, if you will. And then we got a weird little ring-like form here as well. So the more you look at this, the more interesting it gets. Once again, I invite you to take a good look at all these things I'm pointing out and see what else you might find that I don't point out especially. So here we go. Just looking, this was from the left-hand side of the original photo. Look at this. Straight line cutting through this plasma stuff, keeps going all the way to here to a point. Again, we've got too many little objects and things that are very rigid popping up all over the place. So that tells me we're dealing with a cloaking craft. Also, the blur out, fuzzy, bitmappy stuff, that's often to the naked eye. And that's another telltale sign that things are being veiled and cloaked. All right, now we're looking across a parking lot somewhere in Miami. Looking west. I think it's west. It might be northwest. Anyway, pretty sure it's northwest. But the point is, look at C. This thing is diving down an angle, and it actually looks like an airplane, like if that's the nose and the wings and a tail sticking up. So, and look how low in the sky all of this is. That caught my attention. So we look to the right-hand side and look at this. Come on. C.1 is a standalone object. It looks like it's docking onto another triangular object, which is also hooked up to some other kind of object happening back here. This thing is just crazy. And what I haven't figured out is, I know it's cloaking craft, I just don't know how it happens that they're just so low in the sky. But anyway, we're going to check out C.1. Look at this, zoomed in here. We start to see really black bits, dark solid bits in the front here. So we know there's an object cloaking in here. And in this case, it doesn't even look like they're trying hard. It's really what I call sloppy cloaking. It's like, I think this is all part of soft disclosure. It's like, come on, how do you look up this and then not see that there's plasma or like cloaking material hugging an object? It's very clear, at least to me. I hope it is to you. Here's where I say I think it's like stuck, rigidly attached, or docking onto something else cloaking behind here. We have a straight line. We have some kind of weird element here too. All of this suggests, look at these straight lines here, and this like kind of perfect curve, hard, rigid curve, that we're dealing with multiple cloaking craft going on here. And again, just mind boggles and staggers me how low in the sky these things are. Here we go, zoomed in one more time. This is what I'm talking about, the solid pieces poking out. And here in the front as well, this is almost like a hood ornament in the shape of a star. I've covered that on previous shows as well, where we start to even see elements like that. All right, here, a different part of the city of Miami. We're looking to the east. And this was just striking because here again, we have what's trying to be a cumulus cloud, but it's not doing a very good job. It looks very artificial in its composition, especially along the profile. You know, it's not like typical puffy cumulus activity around the profile of this thing. And then we have a linear element just like shooting out of it. So again, that doesn't happen with natural cloud physics. So here we go. This helps see everything much better. So here we go. What is this thing? 8.1, that looks like a cloak and craft to me. Then we've got these two dark prongs. Again, they look parallel to each other. And so we're talking about some kind of technology hiding back in here. And then this looks like a hole that maybe something shot out of. See what you see in the scene. All right, this is kind of a distorted image a little bit. I call it panorama, but it's not a perfect true panorama. It's going to be a little bent or bowed, but you still get the gist of what's going on. This is not normal cloud structure, and it would never happen like in, you know, concentric bands, and each has their own very distinct character, to the point that we have like a straight stick-like thing coming here, and we have something kind of bent. It looks like a little mushroom or something. I mean, none of this is natural cloud. And here we are with, you know, some enhancement to better see it. You know, see what you find in that scene. This is just fun because it's just a rainbow. I'm not really going to talk about this other than it's just really, it was very vibrant and beautiful. But also, it's, you know, the backdrop of all of this is heavy, dense particulate. You can really just feel it in the air. Okay, now this one on the left-hand side is the original. I noticed that there's a more highlight point happening over at D, and we have some red color signatures, and even you kind of like a ring or outline of a shape here. So to the right-hand side with enhancement, it really pops out. What the heck is D.1? It's side by side with something at C.1, yet they're two totally different color signatures. They're literally right next to each other in altitude. So we know that there are artificial objects happening in this scene. And again, you know, where there's suspected to be activity, they do carry a different color signature. And that's kind of like a, again, a light physics and physical impossibility. If all of this isn't happening, you know, in the same proximity, in the same altitude, and low in altitude at that, with no wind going on that day, in subtropical to tropical Miami, Florida. All right, this caught my attention because here at sea it just felt weird, and we can tell that, again, it's trying to be a natural cloud, but it isn't. It's artificial. And at A, it's slammed up right next to it, totally different character. So here we go. Here it's glaringly obvious that these are two totally different systems. The way these edges, if you watch my cursor, it's all frayed and weird looking, kind of mist-like and very heavy particulate-like, shows that there's not a typical natural organic cloud like we're used to seeing, like cumulus clouds, nor is this thing over here. So this looks like one big object cloaking. We see even like a little like tail thing in the back, and this is like different masking or cloaking material wafting over it. Here this looks like a symmetrical object, and that's all I'm going to note on this one. All right, this gets really weird looking south. This thing looks like a standalone craft at sea. We have a stick-like element. It's overall triangular in form with a triangular form on top. And this line is straight, and so are these. So we're going to look at it with enhancement. Here you kind of see these two sticks. This is moving across this way, and this is coming down at a totally different angle. Note the color signatures are very different, and again, it's all in the same proximity. And so what the heck is going on? This is also further notable because we're looking south at sunset. And yet when we look to the east and south, it's bright red here at the horizon. That should not be, you know, sunset. All of this activity should be happening way to the right of this photo. And instead of getting nice color happening to the right where the sunset is, we get this bright white glare out. And I've covered this extensively in my other shows. Yes, I'm calling it a solar simulator, effects of the solar simulator or sun simulator, that glares out a lot of things that are happening in the sky beyond it. That's all I'll say for now. I'm only saying that That's all I'm going to say for now, just because there's a lot to it, and I've covered it in other shows, and now is not the time for me to cover it on this one. I'm losing my voice a bit already, so bear with me. All right, so this just looks like a standalone craft. You know, if you can imagine a little cockpit here, somebody kind of like driving a little compact car, you know, except a craft up in the sky. Here it is with some enhancement. The brighter pink or raspberry is the plasma material kind of clinging to this object. And I can't really pull out too much more, but I think there's enough to show that we've got rigid structure happening in here. All right, this one's weird. You tell me what this one is if you like. Jury's out for me of what's going on with this, and especially when you look at what's happening below. This is just another odd collection of things going on. So B is a chemical filled trail or a camouflage trail. We have weird little elements at A, something totally different happening at C, and something different happening at D. We look to the right to get a better view. And again, you're not going to have a cloud cluster all in the same proximity, each doing its own thing, and call that natural clouds of any kind. See what you find in here. This is one of those that the more you look, the more you're going to see. Like over here, these are little prongs. They're kind of symmetrical. Just weird. I think you can agree. This is just all very, very strange. And consistent with the strangeness happening here. Now, this is looking to the southwest. And I've noticed and noted in other shows, sometimes there's a very weird ethereal light that comes over some of the clouds, and it has structure to it. And it just feels very otherworldly, very special. It's kind of like a milky white cyan. It's very distinctive. So when we look at the right at the enhancement at 8.1, you start to see that, you know, effect. And that's very different. It's kind of like an overlay combining with whatever's going on over here. This one's interesting because where I've noted C.1, these almost look like figures to me, like that's the face or the head with the arm going down, the front of the torso and the legs kind of, you know, splayed apart a bit and standing on the ground. It looks like somebody holding something up, and this looks like another figure with the arm down here and the face kind of going off. I've been noticing lately there's a lot of stuff that looks weird, like these are beings. See what you see in this scene, though. All right, look at this. Look at this darker shadow element at the bottom. What the heck? That's no regular cloud. This comes straight across in an exaggerated way, while this comes down really low in the sky, and this shoots up back off in its own direction. So here we go with some enhancement. I think you can see along with me that this looks like some type of craft with plasma material kind of cascading over it. This is also some type of engineered element at D.1. And then I'm not sure what's going on here, but maybe something is moving in and out of state dimensionally. Looks like little things are shooting off of it. What the heck is coming down in here with the reddish, you know, color? See what you see is going on in this scene. And here, this is 1, 2, 3, all moving off in different directions. I think those are craft. See what you see? All right, this gets interesting. Oh, and pardon, sometimes I have stray letters, you know, that I forgot to just erase from one slide to the next. Anyway, my main focus here is A and B, however. We have lines and just something looked like it was happening here. So when we looked at the enhanced version, look at these things, you know, that's not clouds. And then this here at 8.1, this looks like it has intelligent design to it. It's got hard edges. So see what you see in that scene. Here's another one of those slightly distorted panoramas. Again, just X out the E.1 on this side. The original's at the bottom, the enhanced version's above. So again, we got a lot of different movement going vertical, coming across. This looks like a dart-shaped craft of some kind. What the heck is going on over here? Just a lot of different movement, different color signatures. This looks like craft B.1, C.1 to me. See what you see in that scene. All right, this one we'll just focus on the right-hand side. Look at this movement, you know, across, down, crisscrossing. What the heck is going on here? And we have like a puffball of a thing while this is going vertical. So this tells me, and look at this thing arching and connecting with a straight line over here. Either there's some kind of battle and this is shooting stuff up and off of this craft, or Maybe it's working the opposite way. Stuff's trying to land on it. I don't know. But to me, this almost seems like a little bit of a skirmish or battle, or this thing is shooting off some like camouflage flare type stuff and smoke. I don't know. Let me know what you think is going on in that scene. All right, this one we'll look at the right-hand side as well. Once again, we have a straight line here with like a bell at the bottom. Looks like a triangular form, pure triangular form. That tells me that we're dealing with engineered elements or craft. This thing, I don't know what it's doing, where it's going, or where it's coming from, but I suspect there's a bigger craft happening up here. And what the heck is this thing at B.1? Totally different color signature. I don't know. It's a weird scene. I'm going to say, though, there's cloak and craft all over the place. I would love to know the story of who's doing what, who's who, and what's happening here. But we'll probably need some more time before we'll get to know some of these answers. All right, this is just looking, let's see, did I update this? Nope, this is looking, northeast instead of southwest, pardon that. Anyway, we've got more chemical fill trails or camouflage trails moving across the scene here. There's a darker void too, so it looks like it's masking something that was trying to open up in the sky. See what you see, going on in here. There's a lot of interesting little elements I haven't flagged. But whatever the case, weird stuff's going on all over here. And then again, it's extremely low in the sky. All right, this too, we can just look at the right-hand side. We have a triangular cutout here, or sky imprint. We have a lot of weird little elements happening all over the place. This is one of those. B.1, it's a pointed ellipse if you follow my cursor. It's the outline of one. And then we have this coming down. Well, these are doing their own thing. It's just a bizarre scene and collection of artificial cloud. And here we go. This caught my attention. What the heck is this? That's no cloud. Not a natural one anyway. It's artificial. We've got these weird little things, coming off of it, all frayed and like disintegrated. Well, this is going off one direction. That's going in another. So we look to the right. We can see a lot better. This looks like, definitely looks like a symmetrical craft taken off out of here somehow. See what else you can find in there. This just started to look interesting. It was kind of like a particulate whiteout, but there's some color streaking in there. And I know, down here it looked like an elongated triangle even to the naked eye. So with enhancement, this is what we get. Now, once again, look at the color signature. How is this all red-pink when we've got the glare out happening beyond? This looks symmetrical to me at E.1. And look at this arc, this rigid arc or tube-like thing at D.1 or bridge-like thing with like a ball type thing happening at C.1, something happening beyond. I think we've got a lot of interdimensional things kind of crisscrossing and overlaying each other, some of these things. It's all very mysterious. Again, hopefully we'll get answers on what the heck's going on. But I see maybe cloak and craft here, and here at A.1. Obviously B.1, something happening down here as well. See what you see. All right, well, this is the photo of the day, the close of the show. I'm to keep the mood, the theme and the vibe with SugarSeas' YouTube channel. I want to include this beautiful little mermaid, and it's a mood ring on top of it. What's not to love about that? So I just want to say thanks for seeing things here a while, and also go check and go see things over at SugarSeas once again. So thanks for being here, everyone. I wish you all the best. Tremendous peace and love to you. Lavender Sky Panther. Bye.